You know, Jesus didn't say those words, but I bet you he wished he had. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Yep. Wow, that is a powerful affirmation. It is a potent aspiration. I often say the purpose of our Unitarian Universalist faith is to expand the boundaries of our heart so we can hold more, care more, and love more. My dad, George, was born in 1928, a year before the stock market crash and the beginning of the Great Depression. Now, I know a few of us here today were also born in or around 1928, meaning we are 97-ish years old, pushing toward 100. If that's you, could you just give a wave of your hand this morning? Carolyn, I know you were there, and congrats. And several other beloveds who aren't here this morning but are regularly in attendance, and of course also on our online campus. My dad, George, was part of a generation that was challenged to expand the boundaries of their heart so they could hold more, care more, and love more. My dad, George, was part of a generation that was challenged by letters. Let me explain. My dad grew up and came of age at a time when the letters LGBTQ were all but unheard of in the mainstream. In fact, my dad once told me, growing up as a kid in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I never even heard about the concept of someone being lesbian or gay. It just was never spoken in my world. As rough as my neighborhood was, I don't think, my dad said, I ever heard the word queer until I enlisted in the Army. And I can promise you, when the Q word was used in the barracks, a fist fight would follow to prove we were anything but that word. My dad served as part of the occupation forces in Japan after the end of World War II. He returned home to get married, attend college, the first in his family to do so, and begin his career. My dad said, it really wasn't until the early 1970s that I became aware of the letters LGBTQ. And based on my religion and my political party, I can tell you there was nothing remotely positive about those letters. But that slowly changed for my dad. As I came of age, came out, and identified with the G in LGBTQ, my dad found himself challenged. He could shut himself off from those letters and his son, or he could grow the boundaries of his heart. I feel fortunate that as difficult as it was for him, his heart found a way to hold me as well as those letters. Over the last few years, some of us have faced a new challenge. Some of us have been challenged not by letters, but by pronouns. Many of us grew up and came of age in a binary world when it came to gender. We grew up in a world that seemed to consist of two options, male and female. Now, truthfully, the world was always non-binary when it came to gender, but our society, religions, and cultural norms weren't constructed to allow that diversity to easily exist in the open. But as our psychological and physiological understanding of humanness grew and deepened, we realized that gender identity is much more nuanced. As I said in a sermon a few years ago, gender identity is how and what we feel inside in terms of our gender, who we know ourselves to be, and how we express our gender through clothing, behavior, and personal appearance. Now, as I look around, I know that for some of us, the gender we are now is the same as what was assigned to us at birth. We are cisgender, based on a Latin word, cis, which means on the same side. Others of us know that the gender assigned to us at birth is different than our true gender. For example, our gender presumed at birth was female, but our gender identity, how we feel and who we are, is male. We are transgender, trans being a Latin word that means on the other side. Now, some of us here this morning do not identify with either of the categories, male or female. We are non-binary. For others of us, our gender identity can shift within and between the female and male spectrum or outside that spectrum. We are gender fluid. Some of us identify as not having any gender. We are agender. Some of us are intersex. Our genitals, chromosomes, and reproductive organs aren't exclusively male or female. Some of us do not label ourselves in any way. We're just us. What this means is that we can no longer label everyone he or she. We need our pronouns to be more expansive. For some of us, here at church and beyond, one way we expand the boundaries of our heart and include that expansiveness of pronouns is by identifying ourselves with our pronouns. Hi, I'm Tim. My pronouns are he, him, like I said at the start of today's service. It's a signal that here within Unitarian Universalism, we acknowledge that we have moved beyond the binary, that within this church, we celebrate a diversity of gender identities. Now, I shared this true story a few years ago. I was participating in a Zoom webinar. The facilitator began with an introduction. Buenos dias. Mi nombre es Declan. Good morning. My name is Declan. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. Please take a moment and add your pronouns to your name in the Zoom room. As I was adding he, him to my Zoom ID, a colleague of mine also in the webinar sent me a private chat, my eyes only, saying, why do I need to list my pronouns next to my name? I have a full beard and mustache. It doesn't take much to know I'm a guy. I took a deep breath and typed back, why make it about you? What if identifying your pronouns is about signaling to someone else that you are aware of gender diversity? My friend typed back, huh? I replied. What if identifying your pronouns is signaling that you aren't making an assumption about anyone else's gender? Since you are part of the cisgendered majority, what if identifying your pronouns is signaling that all people are welcome here, regardless of gender identity? He typed back, I hadn't thought about it that way. I replied, many of us haven't had to think about it because we're comfortable living in a world that categorizes people as either this or that, him or her. But there's some people for whom that doesn't match with their authentic selves. My colleague replied, I guess sharing pronouns is like displaying a pride flag. It's a way of saying, this is a safe place for you to be exactly who you are. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? No, I want to be clear. At Fresno, we don't require anyone to share their pronouns. We don't require anything. We're Unitarian Universalists, after all. But we also realize that for some of us, sharing our pronouns would be outing ourselves regarding our gender identity, and we may not wish to do that. So that's okay. Your pronouns are for yourself. Others of us may not want to share pronouns for other personal reasons, and we honor that. But many of us do share our pronouns. Many of us have added a ribbon to our pronouns, with our pronouns to our name tag. And if you haven't and you want to, pronoun ribbons are available free of charge at the welcome table outside the front of the sanctuary. Now, some of us take the next step and add our pronouns to our name in Zoom. Some of us would add our pronouns to our name in Zoom if we could figure out how to actually change our name in Zoom. Yeah, you too. Dear ones, pronouns can be a spiritual practice that declares this core value of Unitarian Universalism. Every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Could we say that value together? Every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. But not too long ago, someone who identifies as non-binary came to a Sunday service for the first time. And that was a risk to do that. They gave me permission to share their experience with you. They said, as I walked up to the sanctuary, I was encouraged by the non-binary pride flag hanging outside above the front doors. I asked, could this really be a place for me? I felt even safer during the welcome statement when from the pulpit you explicitly declared that gender diversity is celebrated here. I thought, could this actually be a spiritual home for me? In the middle of the service, I needed to use the bathroom. An usher pointed them out to me and I walked over. I looked at the bathroom doors. I'm non-binary. I don't identify as male or female. Your bathrooms offered me only a men's room or a woman's room. I'm neither. There was also a sign that said a gender-neutral bathroom was available somewhere else on campus. As a first-time visitor, I could try to find that secondary bathroom in a building I didn't even know how to get to. But I wasn't included in the real church bathrooms. The Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, whose pronouns are they, them, theirs, writes, "I wish you a place and a people who do not want you in pieces, incomplete and partial. A world that no longer asks anyone to wrench apart their heart or divide soul from mind, from nature, from core. I bless you with all that is whole." This world can be unhospitable, dangerous, and sometimes deadly for those who identify as trans, non-binary, gender fluid, agender, intersex, or undefined. Today, in parts of this country, the very right to exist is being erased by state legislatures and school boards. Today, in this country, their very right to exist is being erased by the federal government, the president, and the courts. In Fresno County, there are those on the Board of Supervisors who want to erase their very right to exist. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we need to offer an all-encompassing alternative. As Unitarian Universalists, we are continually called to rebuild our congregation around greater inclusivity. A while ago, our Board of Trustees voted to remodel our 2 binary bathrooms and transform them into inclusive and welcoming all-gender bathrooms. Bathrooms remodeled to be open to all. Each bathroom will have 3 equal stalls, 6 stalls total. Each of those 6 stalls will be brand new and built with personal privacy in mind. The new stalls will have partitions that reach down close to the floor and rise up high toward the ceiling. Those new stalls will eliminate those pesky tiny openings that often exist between the door and the stall itself. Each one will be a personally private stall open to all. Thanks to the generosity of a legacy donor, we now have secured the funds to pay for the remodeling, and the timing feels right in terms of our need to make this change. Now, I want to acknowledge that this change, even as it reflects our Unitarian Universalist values, is a change that might unsettle some of us, not that we don't want to welcome all, but it's different. As a longtime member said to me last week and gave me permission to share, I've never been in a mixed gender bathroom before. I don't know how it's going to feel. I'm wondering how many of us have been in a mixed gender bathroom before? Okay, so some of us, about half of us. This member of the congregation said, quote, "As a guy, I've never knowingly peed in the same bathroom at the same time as a woman or someone whose gender is different than mine." Yeah, you have. Knowingly. As a man, he said, I've never even washed my hands knowingly in a public bathroom standing next to a woman or someone whose gender is different from mine. I don't know what that's going to feel like. He then added, it's one thing to pass gas in the men's room. It's another thing altogether to pass gas in mixed company. Another member noted how crowded the women's bathroom is on Sunday morning and said, "I love this idea. Now we're going to have access to 6 stalls instead of 3. That means a shorter line to use the bathroom." We're also going to continue to have our private single bathroom in the office for those who find that more to their liking, and we'll make sure it's easier to find that. So we're going to give each other some time to get used to the idea of change. We're Unitarian Universalists. We've got to talk about it. So we're going to hold several listening circles in November and December so we can hear each other's questions and thoughts. And in the midst of that, our contractor will remodel the bathrooms for all. Then our all-gender bathrooms will debut the first week of January. A new year, 2026, a new way to pee, a new inclusive bathroom experience at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. Let's end by saying these words together. Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.